start up vim, we need to type vim, so it will open up the editor um, in normal mode. Vim basically has 6 modes: normal, insert, visual, command line, X, and select mode. Today we're going to mainly focus on the first 5 modes. And okay, so let's get into it. By default, as you see, this is opened in normal mode. Usually normal mode can be used to navigate the data and also can be used to manipulate. So if you want to enter into insert mode, you need to type I so that we can start typing text. So as you can see here, it says we are in insert mode now. So let me type some word. Okay, so I typed some word here, right? So in insert mode, basically you can enter into insert mode in 6 different ways. If you press small I, it puts the text before the cursor, and if you press capital I, it will take you to the beginning of the line, so you can add text there. So, and small a to insert text after the cursor, and capital A to insert text at the end of the line, and O for inserting the text one line below, and capital O inserts text one line above. So it all depends on where your cursor position is. Let's say now I have done some changes, and by default Vim will not write the changes for you, so you will have to manually write the changes. So to do that, we'll have to first go to the normal mode by pressing escape, and then you'll have to enter into command line mode by pressing colon. So when you press colon, as you can see at the bottom of the window, so we can see a colon there. So now we can write the changes in a couple of ways. One is by using write, the short form is W, or also you can write the changes by typing update, or the short form up. There is a slight difference between these. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Yeah, first let me save the file by using W in this case, and I want to give the file name something like test. Okay, so now the content has been saved into a file called test. So when you quit this file, and when you list on the directory, so you'll see a test here, and the content of this is just this word that we just typed in. So yeah, that's about the normal command line mode and the insert mode. Let's look at the visual mode. Visual mode is quite handy. So, and I think if you are mainly looking to process chunks of text in a file, so this will be quite handy. Again, the visual mode has 3 different ways that you can highlight the text and you can manipulate it. So one is if you press small v, it enters into visual mode. You can see here. And when, yeah, so when you are in visual mode, and if you go down as you move along the file, it starts highlighting the text, and you can do certain operations on this text like deletion, paste, or copy, things like that. Let's say if I want to delete, I just press D, small d, and I just undo this to undo a small u. So okay, so this is about the visual mode, and you can also enter into visual block mode or visual line mode. To do that, you need to press capital V. So now you can see the mode is changed to visual line. So this will highlights the text by lines. So you can see as we move down, the text is getting highlighted. So, and you can do the operations just like we discussed, like deletion, copy, paste, yeah, things like that. So in this case, I just delete by pressing D, and I'm just undoing it here. So the other mode is block mode, which you can enter by typing in Control V. So as you can see here, we are now in visual block mode. So in visual block mode, we can highlight the chunks of text in this fashion. Let's say you can select a particular column, and sometimes you might want to paste that after a certain column. So to do that, let me copy by pressing Y. So as we can see here, 25 lines copied, and I'm just moving right to somewhere paste this data. So to paste the data, I press P. So now we have pasted the first column at the third column position. So this is quite useful if your file has a tabular kind of structure. So to summarize, we have three different ways to highlight the text in visual mode. One is by using small v, which is a visual mode. It starts highlighting the text from that cursor position. It won't highlight the entire line where the cursor was at the initial place. Whereas if you want to select the line, the whole line itself from the cursor position, you can do so by using visual line mode. So in visual line mode, you can actually select the whole line, and you can select the text until the location that you want. Let's say if I want to copy this to the end of the file, to go to the end of the file, I'll have to press Shift G. So it selects the text until the end of the file, and you can do like if you want to delete this, let's say you can press D. Yeah, so this is about the visual mode, and let me tell you briefly about how to navigate in the file. Let's say let me set the number so that we can see where we are. Let's say now we are at the first line, and if you want to go to end of the line, press Shift G. And if you want to go back to the first line again, press GG, small gg. And if you want to come down, you can always use the arrow buttons to go to left, right, up and down. You can also use HJKL. Those are the keyword shortcuts. And let's say if you want to move one word by one word, press W. And if you want to move back by one word, press B. So if you keep pressing B, it will move in the backward direction by one word. And let's say if you want to delete the whole line, you can delete by typing DD, or we can also delete by using Shift C. Yeah. So so these are different ways to navigate and do certain operations inside VIM in normal mode. You can enter the X mode by pressing Shift Q. So as you can see here, we are now in X mode. I'm not going to cover this probably in this lecture, but I can give you one example later in this video. Yeah, so but this is the way you can enter into X mode, and you can actually execute some scripts. This is quite handy. Let's say it says type visual to go to normal mode, so I type visual, so it is back to normal mode again. So now I am quitting this file without writing changes. So what I have to do is I have to do :Q. So okay, so basically it is asking, because we have done some changes, so VIM is asking whether you really want to save or quit. So I say I don't want to change this, so I press no. So yeah, so that's about the different modes in VIM. Now let's look at some of the operations that we can do with VIM. Let's say okay, let me go back to this options directory, and here as you can see we have a couple, around 6 or 7 files, right? So we can use Vim to open multiple files. Let's say if you want to open all the files in this directory in different tabs and in the same window. So to do that, you have to use -P option and just press star. So as you can see here, all the files in this directory are opened up in different tabs and in the same window. So you can navigate through these tabs by pressing GT. Yeah. To go back, G capital T. you want to quit this file, if you do colon Q, it will only quit one file. And since we have many files opened in this window, and you may want to quit everything at once. So to do that, press QA. So what this does is this will quit from all the files. So you can also open multiple files using -O. So this will open all the files by splitting in horizontal uh, direction. So now you can see all the files are opened up, but they are split horizontally. Now I'm doing the same thing again, QA, to quit everything. And we can also open multiple files using Vim by -O option. This will split the screen into vertical. So as you can see here, all the files are opened up by splitting the screen into vertical fashion. So again, I'm quitting from all these files. So there is one more way. You can just type vim, and you can enter to the command line mode and capital E. So what this does is basically it will list out the files in this directory. So you can navigate through the directories in this way as well. So without quitting from vim. Let's say I'm going down and I'm at 1.c. If I just press enter, it will open the file 1.c. And let's say if I don't want to quit this vim, and I just want to stay in the current directory and go back to the other file, I do the same thing, colon E. So it takes me to the directory, the current directory where this vim is opened at. So I can move to some other file and I can see the content. So that is one way of navigating through the directories within the Vim session without quitting it. Okay, so Vim also has the feature to diff between two different files. Let's say I have file 1 and file 2. So if I do vim -d, it basically it does the diff. So as you can see here, the first line has inside file 1 and the second one is file 2, inside file 2, right? So now it is highlighting the difference in red color here. As you can see here, 1 and 2 are marked in different color. So yeah, there is one more feature in Vim. If you want to use your mouse, right? So by default you cannot drag this. So let's say I'm trying to drag this, but I cannot. So to do that, you have to set the mouse into all mode so that you can use your mouse in Vim. So now you can see I can drag this, and I can also do some operations with my mouse. So let's say if I want to go to somewhere, I can directly go there. Like for example, 1.c, right? So to go to the last line, either I have to press 5G or I have to press Shift G. Let's say if I open my mouse, basically if I set my mouse, I can directly come here and select this. So that way you can use your mouse, or you can also do without mouse. There are various ways. And at any point of time, if you want to know certain command usage, you can always check with help. If you just type help, it will open up the Vim default man pages so that you can go through the commands that you are not familiar with. And let's say sometimes you know the command, at least you know the letter of the first command. So let's say if you want to see the commands that starts with W, so you can just type help W. So it will list out all the commands that matches W. So that way you can actually look through the help, the Vim's default help. There is one more feature. Okay, let me show you that. When I start typing something and if I press Ctrl XF, so it will basically gives you the drop down of what are the different files that are residing in this directory. So you can quickly select that particular thing without typing the whole file name. and that is one thing. And let's say if you want to see this file content, because in this case file2 is a file in this directory, it is not just a word. So to see the content of that file, just keep the cursor somewhere on that file name and press GF. So it will take you to the inside of that file, so you can actually open that file without quitting from the web. And to go back to the previous file again, I just have to press Ctrl O. So it will take you to the previous file. So you are still in the VIM, and I mean, yeah. So you can do all this inside VIM. That's one of the good feature, I would say. And okay, so we covered multiple options that we can do with VIM. And as I said, you can always get the help by typing this command vim -help. So it will list out all the possible options that Vim is supporting at the moment. So you can go through this and you can yeah, explore more on this. That's about the options with Vim. Let me quickly show you the recording feature of Vim. Let's say I have a file. Okay, let me type 1 here, and I want to insert numbers from 1 to 1000. So to do that, and if you do that manually, right, so it is time consuming and it's quite tedious. So that's where this recording feature of Vim comes in. So what what it does is basically it stores the operations into your register so that you can repeat that operations how many times that you want. For example, in this case, our goal is to insert numbers from 1 all the way to 1000. So we are not going to type all the numbers, but we would rather use a recording feature here. So I start my recording by pressing small q A. So in this case, I am using register A. You can use until A to Z. So now I type YY P and then Control A. So Control A for incrementing the number and Control X for decrementing the number. So what I'm doing is basically I'm trying to copy the first line and then paste that into the subsequent line and increment that value by 1. Now I can stop my recording, so because my operations are already saved inside register A. Now I want to repeat this operation 998 times so that I can repeat this, I mean I can get the numbers from 1 to 1000. Let's say to do that, well, all I have to do is 998 at A. So yeah, as you can see here, once I press 998, we have the numbers inserted automatically by this register feature. So this way we can use the recording feature from Vim. Yeah, this is just one example, and later in the real world you might have so many different types of requirements. So you can do the same thing, like you can save all your keystrokes and into a register, and then you can repeat those operations. And there is one good feature with Vim that I found is marking features. Yeah, let me share some of my experience with marking. Let's say I have this file, sample TKL file. So how this marking works is basically when you type small a, so now this particular line is marked with a. And let's say if I go to somewhere here and if I press mark B, now this particular cursor position is saved into mark B. And we can use this markings now to write out this particular prop into a different file. So we can do so by entering into command line mode, comma A, first of A, comma, first of B, W into some test.tk. So now if you see in this directory, we have a file called test.tk which has only this prop. So we have extracted this by using our marking feature. So we have marked this line until this line, and all the content between those marks have been written out into a separate file, right? Yeah. Let's say, okay, here I want to give you some more tips. Let's say yeah, sometimes if your program is too big and you don't know which braces corresponds to which one, or which corresponding brace is placed at. So to find the matching parentheses, you have to do is shift 5. Uh, yeah. If you press shift 5, it will take you to the corresponding end brace, and if you press again, it will keep moving back and forth. Yeah. And if you want to highlight the text within this parenthesis, you just have to double click, so it will highlight the text within that parenthesis. Let's say sometimes if you want to delete the entire content within the parenthesis, so what you can do is di and parenthesis. So when you do that, it will delete the content inside this parenthesis. Let me undo this. And okay, so if you wanna delete the content inside the parenthesis, including the parenthesis, so you can do DA and parenthesis. So this will delete the parenthesis as well. And let's say sometimes let's check this small braces here. So in this brace, right? So this corresponding brace ends here. So that means we only have 2 words inside this, and you want to just delete the whole content from this. You can do the same thing by pressing D, I, and then brace. Let's say if you want, once you are delete that, you are still in normal mode, right? So if you wanna if you wanna stay in insert mode after deleting this, you can do so by C, I, and parenthesis, so that it deletes the 2 words and until it before it reaches the closing parenthesis, and it keeps you in insert mode so that you can start editing the code there. Yeah, these are the different techniques that you can use while manipulating the data inside the parentheses or inside some corresponding braces. So DI basically what it does is delete inside, and DA stands for delete around, and likewise CI for change text inside, and CA for change text around. So these are some useful tips that you can use. I'm not going to save that. Okay, so we have some other feature. Okay, let me just quickly see what I have. Okay, let me show you the usage of how we use the run scripts. Let's say in this case I have 2 different files, right? 1.c and 2.c. So just cat this file so you can see the content. So both files have some common words in it, like keep me, remove me. So my intention now is I want to remove the remove me lines in these 2 files. So basically I'm doing some operation on multiple files. So you can do so by having a file called run.vim in this case. So you can name this to any that you want, but keep the .vim extension so that Vim recognizes this. So open this file, just open this file to show you what I have in this. So what I'm doing here is I'm globally deleting the lines whenever it matches remove me, and after that I save all the files and quit. Let me show you that quickly now. Star.c. So basically I'm opening all .c files, and I want to apply the run.vim on all these files at once. So to do that, I need to invoke argdo and then just source my run.vim. So now if you see 1.c and 2.c, they don't have remove me. They don't have remove me here. So In this example, it is just a couple of files, but yeah, in the real world, you might have thousands and yeah, files like that, right? And you just want to do some operation in all of those files, yeah, in a single shot. So in that case, this is very useful. This X feature is very helpful actually. So in this case, we have only deleted. So if you want to add certain character or some code after a particular line in all .c files, let's say you can have this file prepared and you can have your commands in and then just apply. So it will basically apply on all the files. So this is one of the productive tip I can say. It will save you a lot of time for you. Okay, so I didn't mention about the opening files with minus m and capital M. Let me just quickly explain that. If you open a file with minus m, right? So what it means is uh, it will allow you to edit the text. Let's say I can edit this file now, but I cannot write the changes. As you can see, it is flagging an error here. So which means minus m is basically for editing the text. You might be wondering why I don't need to write my changes when I edit my file. This is sometimes useful, like sometimes you just want to view the file and just manipulate the data just for some purpose, let's say, and you don't care about the writing changes after you do that. So in those cases, this is quite useful. You can also open the file using minus m. So if you open Vim with minus capital M, right, so it won't even allow you to edit, or it won't even allow you to write the file either. So let's say I'm trying to edit by pressing I. So it says modifiable is off. In fact, you can try to press any key on your keyboard, so it won't allow you to even edit this file. So you can only view this file and you can just quit. So you can't do anything. So no matter what key is pressed, this file cannot be edited. So and it cannot be written. So you can only view and then quit. And there is one more option with Vim is minus capital R, so which is basically read-only mode. So you can see that here. So when you invoke Vim with minus capital R, it says it is opening in read-only mode. So in this mode, right, you can still edit and you can write the changes as well if you want to overwrite. But if before overwriting the changes, the Vim flags a warning, or sometimes it asks your permission to save the file. Let's say I edit this file now. It flags an error warning that you can see at the bottom of the window. So now I added some text here and I'm trying to save this file. So it says it is opened in read-only mode, but you can still write the changes if you press Y. Yeah. So the changes are saved now into this file. Okay, so the difference between using W and upright, so let me show you that here. Okay, let me go into the same directory here. So we'll have the timestamp here, right? Let's say I'm opening one.c here, and I'm not going to make any changes to this file. But after viewing it, I accidentally I typed W instead of typing Q. So what this does is basically it will overwrite the timestamp even though there is no file content change. Let me save this file. Now if you see this directory, right, the timestamp has been changed here. Let's say I do the same thing with update. I open 2.c from the same directory here, and now the same way I'm not doing any changes to this, but I will try to write this file using up. So now I pressed enter. So now if you see here in this directory, the timestamp hasn't been changed. Yeah, so that's one of the difference between writing the changes with W and up. So up is basically whenever there is a real content change in the file, then only it updates the timestamp. Otherwise, it will not overwrite the timestamp in Unix. So yeah, so I personally prefer to use up. I have already made alias for that, so I don't have to press every time. That's about some of the Vim options. And let me just go through my directory if I have missed anything. Okay, we covered the navigation, we covered various options with Vim. We also saw one example with the X editor scripts, and we also covered the recording features and the marking features. Okay, so let me talk about something on vimrc file, which is basically a startup file for Vim. It has all the runtime configurations. So it is located in home directory. So when I list down my home directory, you can see a file called .vimrc here. So this is the file I'm talking about. Whereas in Windows, this file name would be underscore vimrc. So yeah. So it is basically the startup file, and that startup file gets loaded whenever you open up a Vim. Yeah, let me open up that file to quickly explain what it has. So this file, as you can see here, some lines are starting with the double quotations, right? So they are all comments. So Vim will ignore that while loading it up. But it will execute the remaining commands which doesn't start with quotation. So I have a few settings here. I'm not going to cover all of them. I just quickly run through this. So as you can see here, no backup will not create the backup whenever you open in Vim. And I have a map leader set to comma. I will explain that in a minute. Okay, let me go through this quickly. We have this highlight search and incremental search. So they're basically, let's say I have this, okay, let me go back to some other directory to explain that. Let's say I go back to my scripts and I open some tickle file. Okay, here let's say when I search, if you want to search something, right, you have to enter into escape mode and press slash and then type in your pattern. So when you type your search pattern, it highlights whenever it matches in the file, and I can go to the next match by pressing small n, and if you want to go back again, you have to press capital N. So this way you can search your patterns inside the file, and I have various settings for that. And yeah, you can see here set ignore case. What it does is basically it will ignore the case while searching. Let me just quickly change this to capital prop. So now I'm trying to search for small prop. Even though I search for small prop, it is actually highlighting the capital prop as well. That's because the ignore case is set here. And what smart cases does is, let's say when your search pattern encounters a capital letter, after that if you press try to search for small letters, it won't match. That's because of the smart case. So whenever you want to match a caps word, you have to press the exact keyword, the exact pattern, so that it will match to that particular one inside the file. I also have some indentation settings related and some wrap lines. This is quite useful when you have a smaller window size and your file has two long lines. So the readability may not be good. So in that case, you can use that. And I have some status bar related settings, but these are commented now here. Let me uncomment this and let me save the changes. So now let me reopen this file again. So as you can see here now we have a status bar at the bottom, so which is displaying the file name, the number of lines, and where we are at inside the file. We are at the top part of this file, and timestamp and the date. So yeah, so as I said, once you save your changes, and when you open a file with Vim next time, so your changes are automatically reflected. And I also have some other settings as well for other stuff. And yeah, so this is one of the good feature as well. You can have multiple mappings defined in your vimrc. So let's say when you want to set the number, you don't have to press colon ACNU every time. You just have to press F1 in this case. Let's say when I press F2, it will save the file. When I press F3, it will save and quit. Yeah, likewise, I have assigned some of the Vim commands to specific keys. And let's see what else I have. I have so many maps actually. Yeah, so okay, so the leader, right? So this is currently set to comma as we saw in the beginning of the file. So what it does is basically it helps to increase your number of mappings. Let's say I can assign one particular command to L, and also I can assign a different command to comma L in this case. So effectively we are doubling the number of mappings. So let me just show you that. Let's say in this case, if I press comma L in my Vim, for that to happen, you need to go into normal mode, obviously. So if you press comma L, so it sets the number, and if you press comma L again, it sets the number. So likewise, you can see there are many commands that have been assigned to this particular leader mappings. Yeah, I think that's the end of my vimrc file. Okay, so yeah, so if you want this file, I will probably point you to this file later. Okay, let me show you one last thing which I missed out earlier. Let's say okay. So in this file, right, if you enter visual mode by pressing capital V, you can do the indentation as well on the selected text by if you press the right arrow. So as you can see here, the whole chunks of text got moved to the right direction by one tab. So yeah, you can do that. In fact, with this visual mode is very useful actually. If your I mean, if your daily life work has chunks of text that needs to be manipulated. Yeah, that's about the Vim. Okay, I think I missed out on search and replace settings. Yeah, so this we can do in command line mode again. To search and replace a pattern, you have to press percentage yes colon and the string that you want to replace, and then delimiter, and then the string that you are going to replace it with. Let's say hello. G, what G does is it will apply the operation on the entire file. So in this case, as you see, I'm using colon so as a delimiter, but you can use anything like any special character like dollar or question mark or slash. So I prefer colon because most of the times my search patterns include slash. So if you use already a forward slash, you will have to prefix with backslash. And this is a painful task if you are working in Unix. Most of the times your paths have many slashes, right? So yeah, that's the motivation why I use this colon. So now if I press that, as you can see here, all the strings got changed to hello. And that is about the substitute operation. Let's say you want to do that some operations on the entire file by using G and then slash. If I search for digit and just enter, it displays all the lines which matches this particular pattern. So yeah, and if you want to do some operation on the lines which matches to this, let's say in this case I want to delete, so I will have to press D for delete. So it will delete all the lines which matches digit. Yeah. So, and you can do the other way around. Let's say you want to retain the lines which matches V, but you want to delete the rest of the lines. So you can do that by using V. So now, as you can see, we only have lines matching digit, and all the other lines got deleted. Yeah. So these are multiple ways of substituting and manipulating the text on multiple lines. Yeah, you can replace the stuff, and you can also do some operations whenever a pattern matches to a particular thing. That's about the commands inside this command line mode. I think I pretty much covered for today. Yeah, thank you.